This is UCC Talk 24. Here on this channel, we're all about the UCC. Public and private rights, giving people information and knowledge to enrich themselves. Today, I'm going to talk about the Uniform Commercial Code and your signature. Alright? I see a lot of information out there, right? This is sort of like a puzzle. So much info that everybody acts like they're experts in this information, right? They're telling you to download all these documents and file lists, but you don't know what you're filing. You haven't done the research to find out what each document is for and how it operates. That's very important to know. Like even with the secured party creditor process. Oh yeah, file the UCC1, become a secured party creditor, right? But at the end of the day, you don't have to file any paperwork to prove that you're a secured party creditor, right? So that's something that they're not telling you. First, you get to understand that. First, they should teach you. If anybody's teaching you, they have to teach you vocabulary, jargon, Black's Law Dictionary terms, right? And UCC terms. Because you have to be able to do the research and understand what the law jargon is. You understand? That's why when I found out that the court system goes by the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, that really kind of blew my mind, right? Because you think they're going by the Constitution. No, they're not going by the Constitution. They're going by the Uniform Commercial Code, acting in the Admiralty Maritime jurisdiction, right? You see the gold French flag, right? And have what you call plausible deniability. They could just deny it. You understand? They're really liquid when it comes to that. But really, they're just contractors at the end of the day. I remember I got a letter from an old federal case I had, and when I got the letter, it was from an old fine, and it said from contractor for the United States Attorney's Office. But I accepted it for value, returned for discharge without taxes or levies. You understand? Settlement and closure of account immediately. Signed by my name / authorized agent. I never heard from him again. And that was about 8 months ago. So, anything that you picture, this is what this document is going to break down for you is contracts and the law merchant. You understand? So, you definitely need to get your vocabulary up. If you're new, that's how you're going to get a jump start and understand the information a lot better when you get the vocabulary information on certain words, like what is a bill, what is a trust, sovereign right, private rights, public rights. You understand? Certain terms that you think you would know, but really, if you look at it, you see deep down what the essence of the word is. Even straw man, which also means party, right? That is a utility that acts between, right? A fictitious entity that they try to control, but really you're supposed to control it, right? How do you control it, right? Do your ways and actions, right? You profess it wherever you need to. So, okay, so I'm going to get into this document. This is some real important stuff. You're always going to get the real. I'm not going to just throw a bunch of documents at you and tell you to download it and file it, right? So I give you some type of understanding, right, of the principles when it comes to being sovereign and understanding the Uniform Commercial Code, right? Okay, the Uniform Commercial Code. And look up the word movable and immovable. Alright? So they're telling you to look up the word movable and immovable. And if you go into and I'll read it to you. This is a document from an interview, so if the syntax is not correct, please excuse the document. I'll read it to you so you won't think I'm making this stuff up. Commercial items or commercial paper. I recommend everybody. This is the 8th edition of Black's Law Dictionary. I doubt if anyone in this room has got one. This thing is really good. Basically what it says is commercial paper, negotiable instruments. Anything you put your signature on is a negotiable instrument under the Uniform Commercial Code, which is the Lex Mercantorium. Did you hear that? Your signature has weight. It holds weight. You put your signature on something that's a commercial paper or negotiable instrument. Right? Always remember that. If you don't put your signature on the instrument, you're not liable on the instrument. You're liable on the instrument when your signature's on the instrument. If you have bill collectors that send bills in the mail, they don't have a signature on that instrument, right? Somewhere, another contract that created a security interest in whatever debt they had, right? If they don't produce that, then they don't have a right. Okay. Anything you put your signature on, okay. Alright. It's mercantile civil law, and the reason they use Lex Mercantorium in the courtroom is because every one of you are merchants of law, and merchants of law is anyone who holds himself out to be an expert because you use commercial paper. Because you use commercial paper on a day-to-day schedule, you are considered to be an expert. And this is why they're not telling you what is going on in the courtroom, because you're presumed to know that this. Because you hold yourself out to be an expert because you use commercial paper all the time. Every time you put your signature on a piece of paper, you are creating a negotiable instrument. You hear that? Every time you put your signature, right, you're putting on a piece of paper, you're creating a negotiable instrument. Some are non-negotiable and some are negotiable. Every time you endorse something, you're acting as an accommodation party or an accommodation maker under 3-419. An accommodation party is anyone who loans their signature to another party. Read UCC 3-419. It tells you that an accommodation maker is what an It tells you that an accommodation maker is and what an accommodation party is. When you loan your signature to them, you can rewrite your signature on any document they want, and that's what they're doing. This is what's going on and what the federal courts are doing. They are buying up these state court default judgments, and they are called criminal cases, but they are actually civil cases, and call them criminal to cover up what they're doing. If you read clerk's practice, you'll find what they call criminal is all civil. They just call it criminal to rough up. It's understandable. If you don't pay the debt, you go to prison. Bottom line. See, this is some deep stuff, guys. You got to watch what you put your signature on. I always teach signature format. So go on my other videos and you'll learn about signature formats. See, they're not teaching you that. You go to a lot of these channels, they're not telling you about signature format and how not to be liable on certain documents. They tell you without prejudice, but you have to learn what that is. You got to study that. It's a whole topic in itself. Okay. Every time. Okay, let me go down. Let me get into the pages one. If you read clerk's praxis, you find out what they call criminal or civil. They just call it criminal. Okay. If you don't pay the debt, you go to prison. Bottom line. Okay. Let me go. Let me go down. Go ahead. Go down past that stuff and get to the meat and potatoes. Okay, guys. Some good stuff, man. Treaty, international treaties. If you read the Constitution, treaties are the supreme law of the land. So they get a reinsurance company to come in and act as surety for the bid bond when they bring in a performance bond. All these bonds, bid bonds, payment bonds, and performance bonds are surety bonds. And anytime you issue a bid bond, it has to have a surety. What is the surety going? Is guaranteeing or reinsuring the bid bond by issuing a performance bond. That's what these performance bonds are. This stuff can be kind of confusing, man. I'm not even gonna lie. That's why you have to read it over and over again. Bid bond, performance bond, surety bonds. So you got to learn these terms. Okay. The underwriter takes the three bonds and pools them, known as mortgage-backed securities. When you pool these MBS, they're called bonds, and they're sold to a company called a TVA. Is the Bond Market Association. This is actually an incorporation. What they do is after the payment bond is issued to reinsure or underwrite the performance bond, which reinsures the bid bond, they convert these bonds to investment securities. The banks do and brokerage houses, and they sell these as investment securities, and you are funding the whole enchilada because you got into default judgment when you went into court. Ooh, you hear that? That's bombshell information right there. You hear what they're telling you right there? When you go into court, they have you sign your signature. You're basically bounding yourself, right, as surety to these bid bonds, performance bonds, right, and the such, right? They're making bonds. They're making money off of you. It's a securities game. They're really in the securities game, man. That's what's so crazy. That's why you have to learn. You have to study. Because they already take you as an expert. And you see, that's what they definition of a merchant. When you're expert in the goods that you're dealing in, goods and services that you're dealing, right? You're a merchant. So like they're telling you, if you're dealing with promissory notes, what you deal with anyway, right? You better learn what this stuff is. I'm going to go ahead and read this. I'm going to talk about this a little more deep in detail on our Patreon channel, right? We have a Patreon channel. We're going to be posting on there exclusive information, right? You guys need to do what you need to do. We're all about educating the people to enrich themselves, right? Public and private rights. Also, we got a TikTok page. Also, you need to go there. UCC Talk 24 at TikTok. Right, it's Black's Law Dictionary terms that you should know. Right, so I go in on certain law terms, Black's law terms that I think people should know. Right, on a journey. Right, to become freemen. Okay, in order to win in court, you have to redeem the bond. I went in and I asked them for the bond, and everyone disappeared. Nobody showed up. I went down and asked them for the bid bond. I said, I want the bid bond back, and I asked for full settlement and closure of the account. I don't think people are doing it right in court. Everything you describe is pure bottomry. Yeah, hypothecation. And hypothecation is basically just a pledge of collateral without taking possession of it. Right, and this is what the Federal Reserve do. They get you to pledge your property without actually taking the possession of it. Right, so the property is all the assets of the people that operate in under the United States Corporation. Okay, so that's a Black's Law term too. You need to study and look up. I have a friend that works on the Security and Exchange and knows how to hypothecate these bonds, pledge without taking collateral. Is your money, and they create same thing going in the banks with these bonds. They monetize these bonds. They take your bonds because they got into default judgment because you didn't pay the debt, and took your bond and made an investment security out of it. They're making a fortune off of you. They call these guys. This guy calls me up and I said, read your treatise, and I said, you're 100% correct. I say, who's this? And he says, I've got my own commodities and security companies. He buys these bonds. They go international when they go as a CINS, and from CINS they to a ANA, which means Annual Numerical Number Association, and located in Brussels, Belgium. And they have unlimited capital. How many of you heard of Eurostream? This is where your pound, yen, sterling, everything came under the prison system. Everything is being funneled through. They're all feeding off of it. That's what was behind the 9/11. So they could get the state's legislature to pass more statutes, bond statutes, so they could arrest people for writing a threatening letter, so they could arrest you for terrorist activity. Paper terrorists, they call it. ALEC is the think tank behind it. American Legislative Exchange Committee. Paul Warren owns the Cognizant Foundation, and what ALEC does is promoting privatization of the prison system. And what they do is go to the national. This is some deep stuff, guys. You really get a working of what they're doing, right, and tying you into these contracts when you go into court and when you deal with debt collectors. They have made a presumption that you're a merchant. Right? Congress or the commissions are made up of 72 judges and lawyers. 72 judges and lawyers are the one that drew up the Uniform Commercial Code, which everything is operating under. You hear that? Judges and lawyers made the Uniform Commercial Code. So when you go into court, you see the judge and the prosecutor, they're all lawyers. You're a lawyer. Is a lawyer, right? So what does that mean? They're learning from the Uniform Commercial Code. And what is the code, right? That's information and knowledge that's not known to outside of a selective group, right? So you have to learn the code. That's the whole thing. I hope that the preceding information may be of use and of value to you and to others. I too am attempting to do something about it and protect myself as best as I can from their commercial paper and their foreign jurisdiction. It is a big challenge for sure. One thing must be diligent, and one must be educated as much as possible in remedying their presentments and doing their things to the people. In the meantime, my best wishes and diligence. Okay. And getting closer toward freedom and a better country, and to be free of them and their bondage, including their commercial paper. Alright, so that breaks it down for you. Basically how the system is working. They're working under the law merchant. Uniform Commercial Code. The Lex Mercantoria. Okay? So you guys gotta learn that, right? You gotta learn this. You gotta definitely study the Black's Law Dictionary. Look up commercial terms that you see all the time. If you're reading something and you don't understand a word, look it up right there in the middle of the reading. So you're gonna understanding. You'll be trained to read documents. You understand? This is what's gonna help you understand. Okay. So this is UCC Talk 24. We're gonna have more in detail information on our Patreon channel. Okay, you can reach out for consultation services. We don't give law advice, right? Okay, so just understand that also. Okay, you guys have a good one.